Welcome to this special edition of Go Vote Omaha, a candidate forum for Omaha City Council District 5, presented by the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha. I'm Madeline McCrae, a member of the League and your host for today's program. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization and does not endorse political candidates or parties. Our purpose is to empower voters and defend democracy. Go Vote Omaha primarily focuses on policy issues, and as a result of our discussions, we hope you will feel ready to make an informed decision during election time. The format is as follows. Each candidate will get a 1 minute opening statement, followed by questions prepared by the League of Women Voters. Each candidate will answer every question and will have up to 90 seconds to answer. Following the questions, each candidate will have a 1 minute closing statement. We alternate speaking order throughout the forum. A timekeeper will signal candidates when they have 30 seconds of time remaining and when to stop speaking. Before the forum, we pick the candidates' names out of a hat to set the initial speaking order. I'll introduce them now in that order. Joining us today are three of the candidates for District 5 Omaha City Council: Don Rowe, Colleen Brennan, and Patrick Leahy. Jeff Moore, Kathleen R. Koff, Destiny Stark, and Kate Gottsteiner were unable to join us tonight. We'll start with the 1 minute opening statement by the candidates. Don, you're up first.
Great. Well, thank you for hosting us tonight and for inviting us to spend a little bit of time talking about District 5 and our hopes for the city and how we can make it better. I'm a 20-year resident of Millard. I grew up in Omaha, but moved away during the college years and spent most of that time down in Lincoln. And then about 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago, Marcy and I moved back to Millard due to my work here at Millard Lumber. So I've been with Millard Lumber for about 25 years and have enjoyed a long career here, but that career is kind of winding down. And I think I'd like to run for city council to use the skills that I've learned and that I've developed over that time frame. And I think I'll do a good job for District 5.
Thank you. Colleen, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm running for office. I already am. I am the incumbent. I am the city council woman for District 5. And I'm running for re-election because I want my kids and your kids to see that government doesn't have to be partisan or hateful or angry to work. I want to be an example of integrity in public service and putting the needs of others before my own. We hear a lot of people today talking about fighting for this or fighting for that or fighting for what your party is wanting. And you know, that's all nonsense. The truth of the matter is, if you want to get something done, you have to reach out and you have to work together. You've got to find common ground, you've got to find common ground and you've got to make sense. And so that's what I intend to bring to District 5, because that's how democracy works.
Thank you. Patrick, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, congratulations, Colleen, on being appointed to fill in the remainder of the seat for Rich Powell. I'm Patrick Leahy. I think Omaha is a great city. I love my city. And I've lived in, I want to just make it better. My wife and I, Wendy, we've got three daughters, a son, two granddaughters now, 8 months and 15 months old. There's a lot we can do as an architect, a businessman, a very civic-minded man that's been the only person on the team on this great collection of great potential candidates for the position that's actually been elected before. I've been elected 3 times on the Metropolitan Community College Board, where I helped make it what it is today. Also, as an architect focused on healthcare, The hospitals I work for have 27 departments, leadership, a board, the community. When there's a bond issue, I have to bring consensus with them every day. So I think understanding all the city codes and zoning and community issues, I'm well suited to do this.
Thank you, Patrick. Okay, so our first question is, what do you believe are the biggest concerns for residents of your district? Colleen, if you would answer, please.
Sure. What I hear when I'm out talking to my constituents is transportation. So we have a lot of potholes right now, and we are going to need to do everything we can to improve our streets, make them passable, and continue to do that. We don't have any public transportation out in West Omaha. We really don't. We don't have orbit buses running out this way. We don't have many bike lanes, and so we need to increase those and get public transportation out west. That is the number one thing I hear about. I also hear about, the trash issue. It's going well. Recycling could be doing a little bit better, so I hear about that. And then, like every district in Omaha, public housing. Those are the issues that I hear of. And they're all sort of related issues. I mean, the public housing and the transportation kind of go hand in hand. We need to address both of those and work together to improve that.
Thank you. Patrick?
Yes, I think the biggest concerns in our city are number one, racial equity. There's a lot we can do there. I spent 2 days on the race learning from the Racial Equity Institute through the Sherwood Foundation. The other one is, I agree with what's been said on transportation, making that more equitable. Orbits is great. It's just down one street. We need branches north and south. Look at the trolley again. And we need more economic development citywide.
Thank you. Don?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I think that the neighbors that I've been talking to are concerned somewhat about coming out of this COVID pandemic and how it's going to affect us financially. Last year and this year we've received help from the feds, and we've been able to balance the budget. But going forward, coming out of the pandemic, my fear, and I think some of my neighbors' fear, is that we're going to have reduced sales tax revenues. We're for sure going to have reduced restaurant tax revenues, and a lot of other tax revenues will be less than what we've experienced in the past. And so we're going to need to be careful about how we spend those dollars going forward. And so I think they're looking, to their representatives to put a check on the spending and to make sure, it's not really a revenue issue, it's a spending issue. And we need to be really paying close attention to how we spend the dollars. Our neighbors they don't mind paying taxes. They're willing to pay taxes, but they want to make sure that they're getting good value for the money that they're investing in the city. And I think I can help with my business background. I can help in that issue.
Thank you. Okay, our next question. What will you do to ensure a diverse viewpoint is involved in your decision-making process? Patrick?
I would support more listening sessions. Organizations such as the Empowerment Network in North Omaha, made up of the area's churches, where we can really find out what people need. There's books written on when helping hurts. And it's often done when people think they have the answers, and they go in with the answers before find out what the real true community need is. And we found with all the protesters and the violence last year that there needs to be more listening done in the city and bringing people together and really hearing what their concerns are.
Thank you. Sorry, Don?
Okay, yeah, thanks again for that question. I kind of agree with Patrick on that. We need to learn how to listen better. I think that unfortunately, we built some silos in Omaha that need to come down. It's almost like there's these big walls that are built on Cumming Street or on, Q Street. And, those walls need to come down, and we need to be willing to listen to each other. I'll be representing District 5, but I want to represent the whole city. I mean, I grew up in North Omaha, and so it's important to me what's going on up there. You know, potholes in the streets are just as important to me in my old neighborhood on Larimore Avenue as they are on Sharp Street. So I think we just need to listen and really understand what people's issues are, and then collaborate with one another for the best win-win solution.
Thank you. Colleen?
My door is always open in my office, and I am always willing to take a phone call or an email. So I'm already doing these things. I am happy to work with all of my fellow council members on again, listening to what our constituents bring to us. It isn't just my job to represent my own district. I mean, that is my first and foremost job, but it is my job to represent the entire city and to work with the entire city. And so if anybody ever has an issue, they are more than welcome to give me a call. They are more than welcome to send me an email, and I'm always responsive to that. That's all we can do, is work together as a community to solve problems.
Hey, thank you. And what do you see as the city's greatest challenge, and how would you address that challenge? Don?
Well, I think, again, I'll reiterate the importance of our finances. And I think we can solve that by being more in tune with the economic development opportunities that are coming our way. I think as we attract new businesses and encourage growth in our city, that just broadens the tax base. And so I'll be somebody that I'm not afraid of TIF. I understand how TIF works, and I understand some of the pitfalls, but I think it can be used wisely and allow for our tax base to be broadened. And that just helps us all. And I think that will help us with what I think is going to be an economic issue going forward.
Thank you. Colleen?
I can tell you firsthand that affordable housing is the biggest challenge that Omaha faces right now. That is the #1 issue. However, it's not something that we are going to solve just by trying to backdoor it. If we're going to solve the problem, we've got to go straight at it. And you know, the problem is there's not a whole lot of money to be made by creating affordable housing. So what we need to do is get everyone involved. We got to get the developers involved. We've got to work together to solve that problem. It's going to take a long time. It's not something we can solve overnight. There's going to be a lot of behind the scenes work involved in us. But I think we've got to get a group of people. We've got to get them to step up and work through it and solve that.
Thank you. What role should the city take to reduce racial tensions?
I didn't get that question. I didn't get that last question.
Patrick, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I jumped ahead.
That's all right.
Forgive me.
You're forgiven. You're super efficient. No worries. I can answer you. Greatest challenge, I think it's 5 ways: finance, COVID, housing, jobs, education. On COVID, we're coming out. We want people to get back to school. We want to get back to work. We want to listen to UNMC, one of the greatest medical centers in the country, as well as Creighton, and be able to quickly get vaccinated and get sign up to wear these masks, because I don't like it anymore either. Then also our finances, we're going to get a one-time stimulus, 100 million, broke 50 million this year, 50 next year, from the feds to the city. Let's use that on infrastructure. We have infrastructure needs, roads, bridges, and more. Affordable housing, missing middle's one, but it's not just developers. The Omaha Housing Authority is already can work with foundations such as Sherwood Foundation. It was in the paper a year ago. They're already starting with the South Side development of that South Side public housing. There's a lot we can do, but it's getting people from where they live to the jobs. The transportation is important. Education gives them a foundation for better jobs. I learned the value of that at Metro College, and yeah, we can do a lot better on finances. And my job doing projects anywhere from 100,000 to 300 million. I understand budgets. I understand manpower. I understand operational improvements. I do it every day, and I look forward to do it here in the city.
Thank you. And again, I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
Just move
Don't
to
worry.
the paper. Okay, now, what role should the city take to reduce racial tension? Colleen?
That's a really good question. What we need to do is really listen to our neighbors. I mean, we got to talk about these problems. The only thing we can do is work together, listen to each other, open up our hearts, open up our minds, and solve and keep the communication flowing. I mean, that's the bottom line with all of this. If all we do is talk at each other, we're never going to solve anything. We've got to listen to each other, calm down, and work together to improve the lives of everyone.
Thank you. Patrick?
Can you repeat the question?
What role should the city take to reduce racial tensions?
I think that the city can do more. I don't think it's appointing necessarily. Maybe it would help to have a racial czar, but that would be in the mayor's office. I think the biggest thing is that racial equity training. It was 2 days, went through the whole history of racial equity and institutionalized racism. If we could have that available to more people citywide at their place of work, at their place of business, to elected officials. I know that other people are offered this, they don't always take up on it. It was so helpful. And then let's bring people together. Let's have more openness, but not just across races, across economic diversity too, from people that make a lot of money to not so much. The people at the table, typically in decisions in the city, are the well-to-do, the power brokers. We need to improve. We need to get more diversity in that, from racial lines, economic lines, different parts of the city, at all levels. I think we'll get a lot better results. And also, we need to look at what other cities have done. They get some of the same problems. They've tried things. Let's do the research and look at the data. What's worked? Let's use those. The ones that didn't work, let's not make the same mistakes. It's really pretty easy. We just got to do our homework and be prepared.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And Don?
I think we should tap into the experience and the expertise of our faith and community leaders. I think we can get our churches involved in helping with the dialogue and the communication. And I don't think I think many times we just overlook that resource that is out there. And as Colleen said, I mean, we need to listen, we need to pay attention and come to an understanding of what people are experiencing and what they're dealing with. It's different in all parts of the city, and we just need to be willing to listen before we take action.
Thank you. Okay, and our last question of the evening. How would you work to involve more of the community in the process of governing the city? Patrick?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Absolutely. How would you work to involve more of the community in the process of governing the city?
Great question. First of all, I'm elected first. I'm elected by the 5th district, and I'm going to take care of them for sure, baseline. But I'm also going to take care of, at the same level, the entire city, because that's what we're elected to do. Our decisions affect everybody. I'm going to make sure everybody's brought up together. We need to raise all boats. And the way I do it is not just listening sessions. I take a little bit what's been said by both Colleen and Don, is that there's some great pastoral groups, pastors in North Omaha that have this group. I think it's the Empower Network. It might have another name. I was trying to figure that out earlier today because I knew the question would come up. It already came up today. And those are already leaders in their communities. And there's probably other leaders as well. Let's bring them to the table to really find out. And there's leaders like that in neighborhood associations across the city. I'm on one in my Mission Park neighborhood. And we need all their input. There are already leaders in their community at all these levels. Bring them to the table, find out what they need, give them, and then we can know the solutions we can apply. There's a saying, people talk about culture and they talk about policy and rules. And when it comes to ordinances and policy, culture can eat policy for lunch. We need to bring the culture along, find out what people want. They'll ask for the policy changes in, and we're not applying them on top of people. That'll help encourage business, economic development, and families will be able to thrive. Thank you.
Don?
I think our people, our neighbors are our best resource. And as we listen and pay attention to what's important to them, it's gonna make our job so much easier because we're gonna make decisions based on that. And so I pledge to be transparent. You know, my phone number will be published, my emails are published, my address is published, and if people want to come spend an hour on the front porch drinking an iced tea, that would be great. But I think we have to pay attention to our best and our biggest resource, and that's our neighbors, and really understand what is important to them and then take action based on what their needs are.
Thank you. And Colleen?
Yeah, there isn't a lot that I disagree with either Patrick or Don, because it really is about knowing who your constituents are, knowing your neighbors, knowing them well, being willing to go that extra mile. Already doing that. Just Saturday, I went to a constituent's house. He had some questions for me, and instead of just, I was out and about. I happened to be driving. I was near him, and he said he was working outside, so I stopped by and we sat and we stood in his front yard and talked for a good hour about the issues that were important to him. So it's really important that I make myself available. My number's already available to most of my constituents, my home number, and they call me and I return their call, and I'm there for them. But it is about not just being willing to listen to my own group, my own constituents, but being available for anybody who has questions or needs assistance in any way. Maybe I know somebody who's a resource in another district who I can assist them with. But it really is just about getting to know your neighbors, knowing them well, listening and responding accordingly.
Thank you. Okay, we have concluded the question portion of this evening, and we now move to the closing statements. And we will go to Colleen first.
Well, I'd really like to see Omaha become a world-class city. I mean, we're on the verge of becoming that. I've got half a dozen kids and a bunch of my friends that I really want to see stay in Omaha. And so, that's going to require some visionary planning and management, but all of that is really above my pay grade. The city council is about the nuts and bolts. It's about trash removal. It's about recycling. It's about snow removal, making sure the buses run on time. That's really what my job is. And I'm already doing that. And I hope to continue doing that in the future.
Thank you. Don?
Well, my hope for Omaha is that she continue to grow and develop into a city that's welcoming and safe. My neighbors are hardworking people that just want to make a good life for themselves. They want to be able to provide for their families. They want to have safe homes. They want to have a safe neighborhood. They want their parks to be safe. They want their churches to be safe, their schools to be safe. And so I think it's important that we have a strong police force and a responsive fire department. And I will support them to the best of my ability. And I think, as I mentioned before, people are willing to pay taxes. They're willing to pay for the services that they receive, but they want to know they're getting a good value for their money. Nobody likes to see waste. So, they want to see streets that are smooth and drivable. They want to have the basics, the blocking and tackling that the city is involved in to be done with excellence. And I think that I can be, I think I can be a guy that can help facilitate that.
Thank you so much. And Patrick.
Thank you, Madeline. I think we live in a great city. Omaha is wonderful. I just kind of want to make it better and take us to the next level and retain more of our college graduates. I'm an architect, elected official. I've done this before. I want proactive, comprehensive planning for the city, like I did at Metropolitan Community College over a 4-county area. I'd like to do it for Douglas County and the city of Omaha. I care about big picture as an architect and the details. So I want to make sure trash removal, recycling, snow removal, and roads get fixed. And they also get They also get widened where they need to. I understand. I got experts to call on when I need to. When TIF was an issue, I knew a lot about it. I spoke to a retired city planner. My telephone numbers on Facebook and LinkedIn. Email me through my website, leahyforcitycouncil.com. I want good value in taxes, and I want a strong police force and fire. So if you like what you heard, please help out and vote. Please vote no matter what on April 6th and May 11th. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to the League of Women Voters for putting this on tonight.
This concludes our forum for Omaha City Council District 5 primary election. The League thanks the candidates for participating. For the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha, I'm Madeline McCrae, reminding you to inform yourself about the issues and candidates, and on April 6th, go vote Omaha.
Well said. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.